Hello, word nerds! Happy Sunday. It is April the 12th. We are here. We're talking all about productivity during what feels like the apocalypse. Obviously things are a little different now. And so I figured we would open up with how your work life is different. Like what's your new normal that you're trying to fit writing into? So I can start. My life is basically the same, except I'm much more existential because I already worked full-time from home. My husband now also works from home, so I have a little bit of help with the toddler. So all things considered, it's okay. Mentally, it's not great, but it's okay. Kelly, do you want to go next?
I guess so. I don't think mine has, well, in a lot of ways, mine hasn't super changed because I've always worked from home, but my sister and brother-in-law have been off work, so they and their toddler have moved in, so we're now a much more chaotic household than usual. But I think the other big change has been a good one in that more word nerds are home, so we've been kind of working from home together a little bit, which has been actually helpful. Because, mentally is the issue for me more than the actual circumstances.
For me, the big difference is now I am working from home, which normally I would be going to an office for about 9 hours a day, plus commuting time, which was taking up a lot of my time. So now I'm just from home working 40 hours a week. So technically I have more time because I'm not commuting.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, it should be better. And I don't have any kids yet, like at home, like that are like home from school or something. But I feel like the big difference and what makes it still difficult or makes it more difficult is that that kind of like change of scenery between like going to work and then coming home and being like, okay, now this is like writing time. I sit here in front of this computer in this spot all day long working. And so I don't want to continue to sit here for a couple more hours to write. So like, because I don't get that like change of scenery in my day, it's made it really difficult. And my husband's home all day long, so he's a distraction. So when I get done with work, I want to hang out with him, Before I would get home from work and he would be working. So like, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm home by myself. Might as well get some writing done. Now I'm never alone.
Rachel.
I am also in the same boat as Emma, where I have a physical job in an office that I don't have anymore. So now I have a physical job in my other room. And I have a desk and whatever. So it's, I've done online schooling for a really long time. So I'm very used to working from home. And my job is pretty much done on a computer anyway, but that change of scenery, the commute time, I definitely miss it almost just because it does put you in a whole different mindset. And while I'm very much like, all right, desk is work time, it doesn't help that, my cat's constantly yelling at me for attention or food. And then I'm like, oh man, hey, I forgot I have to put on that laundry. Like, well, I might as well go do it now. And then that kind of like breaks that or what have you, or my transit time, I just end up sleeping. So, so that's nice. But at the same time, it's both good and bad.
Yeah, Erin.
It's hilarious what you said about the cat, because I was like, oh my God, yes, because I guess being home all the time now, my cat thinks it is dinner time all the time now.
It is
driving me crazy. I told her the other day that she was very close to being turned into a hat.
I also think that dinner time is all the time now.
Oh my gosh. So mine has changed quite a bit. I am very, very lucky in that I have a 2-year-old. His daycare is not closed at this point because it's considered an essential service. But I also got super, super lucky because it's only him and one other child at this time, because the other 2 kids that were in his daycare, they have older siblings who aren't at school anymore. So they got pulled out because their family's like, might as well have both kids home. So it's only my son and then one other child. So there's a lot less risk and I feel okay dropping them off. But that's only for now because kind of waiting it out to see if the daycare does close or not. So it feels like a little bit frantic to me. I'm like trying to get as much writing done as I can in case it does shut down. because the whole family was sick when we had what I suspect was COVID, like at the beginning of March. And my husband and I stayed home with the 2-year-old in self-isolation for 2 weeks. And I sort of experienced what it would be like if his daycare gets closed down. And that would be zero work getting done. Because my 2-year-old is like the world's most destructive child on the planet. So yeah, but now that I don't have a coffee shop to work out of, it is a lot of driving. So I have a half-hour drive to the daycare, a half-hour drive back, and then to pick them up as well. And working out of my home office, which I am very much someone who's used to working in a coffee shop and having that like surround sound. And you can get Coffeetivity or whatever those coffee shop apps are, but it's not like quite the same. It's also very tempting to just constantly visit my fridge all the time because it's right there and it doesn't cost me anything like the coffee shop did. So
oh yeah, I bought a little stovetop espresso maker, so I've been like making my own coffee at home. It's not the same, but I feel really fancy. So like,
does anyone miss Starbucks?
Oh my god, so much.
Yes.
It's not even like, oh, I miss my morning coffee because I would get coffee at my work. So like, whatever. But it's just that like the option. Like, I'm going to the coffee shop today, and I'm like,
I'm running early on my way to work. Let me just stop by.
Yeah, right.
I get like soy chai tea lattes all the time. That was like my favorite thing. I can't make a latte to save my life. Like it's not happening until I get Starbucks.
One of the things Kelly mentioned that I have also been really liking is that normally it's just Kelly and I are the only two working from home. So it's been a little bit fun having just like, usually about noon Eastern time hits and we're like, hey, why don't we just jump on and just all be quiet, but together. And so it's like the closest I've ever had to working in an office because I've had a lot of really weird jobs my whole life. It's great.
And this is like an office where you actually like all the people you work with, which is rare.
And I do feel that like when I see you guys on the screen, even if we're not live, I'm like, oh, there's people watching. I better not mess up. Even though I know like I'm not watching any of you, I'm just like doing my own thing. But I'm like, people are watching. I must be productive.
That's really true. Like the couple of days for a while there that everyone was too busy or taking a day off or whatever, I don't think I got a lot of work done. I'm like, I'm not going on with the word nerds, so I might as well just lie around the house.
Yeah, well, like because if I do look distracted or I'm looking off, it's because my cat decided to come up and yell at me. Oh, look at that.
It's dinner time.
It definitely is. And now she's like rubbing her face on my laptop. Pumpkin, stop that. But like at my office, it's, I'm just doing like emails and sometimes calls and minutes and whatever, but it's like sometimes an email will come in at 9 and then another email won't come in until like 11. So I'm like, and then so, and if I was at an office, I would have a lot more to do, and there would be like physical filing or like delivering stuff to across campus, or I work at a university and or what have you. But now I'm just like at my desk, just chilling. So that does give me time to work on other projects, which is really nice. So I have been able to get some other like video editing and writing done, where I'm like, all right, got my morning emails done while I'm waiting for people to email me back, which might take 5 minutes or 3 hours. I don't know. I'm just gonna work on this other project for a little bit. So that's kind of nice. That I do like that.
That's like the weirdest part of working from home. Is like, how long is it practical for me to wait for someone to email me back before I am now no longer on the clock?
Yeah.
Well, like I keep office hours because technically I'm still like in office, so I keep office hours, and once office hours are over, I'm like, all right, bye. Like I'm answering your email that you sent 2 minutes after the hour tomorrow.
So I know for me before, I still get like breaks and stuff. And so it was easier to be like, I have this break right now. I'll fit some writing in, or like, I'm done now. I'll do some writing after work. And I don't know about for y'all, but for me, work is taking a lot longer because it's just like my husband is home. My child is stressed because he's 2. And so it's a lot of things are kind of bleeding into each other, and it's making it difficult to find time to write. And so I was curious, where do you all find time to write, if you are finding time to write right now?
When we do live write-ins.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, I sort of just said like, oh yeah, I'm just at my desk while I'm also doing other things. But like, I think it's also like having the like work mentality of like I'm doing work things and then I'm doing writing. It kind of like puts it in the same category, so I get more done because I'm like, it's work time, and then I'm like, if we're writing at work today, and oh, it's writing time or it's brainstorming time, and then like I actually like feel more focused, which is kind of nice, which I can't do at like my normal in-office office.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, mine's the opposite, where in my normal job, like a lot of the time, like about half my day I spend like up at the circulation desk. And so I'm just up at the desk, like there to help students in the library. And so like if I have a notebook and I'm like doing some brainstorming, writing some stuff, like I can do that while I like wait for a student to need help. Whereas where I'm working from home, I'm like, I have to be working because I have to account for my hours. And so like I don't get that like, oh, let me just like get a little bit of writing done while I'm like waiting to help a student. Instead, it's like, nope, I have to do 8 hours of actual work.
We had Bree Mills said, I've been writing before bed as I'm trying to make it a daily habit to continue even after all of this, which is definitely a good idea and probably something I should try. I feel like I've been getting writing in like bursts. So we did the write-in last week. My note cards have not moved since the pens are in the exact same place they were last week. You could watch last week's video and you'd be like, yeah, she has not touched those. But then like a week before that, I was just like, oh, hey, why don't I do some revising? And it was like suddenly 2 a.m. and I had done 80 pages. So it's like most days I feel very dead. But then for some reason, every now and then my brain is like, we should do this. We had Jennifer said, do some writing while waiting for students to appear for help on Zoom. So work Chromebook on Zoom, personal one on NanoDoc. Vanessa said, my work is shut down, so I've had much work time at home to write. Misty Kate said, it's a complete adjustment for me, I think, because of the current mindset. It's not a normal situation. So quarantine would normally be ideal where I could get lots of writing done, but I am just not.
Yeah, that's a lot of us, I think.
Yeah,
like, I don't have much of an excuse. Like the half an hour there and back in the morning. So I got like an extra 2 hours kind of carved out of my day now because of all the driving, but I still have a good chunk of the day to write. But it feels so uncertain and terrifying out there that it's hard to concentrate. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. That was kind of one of the things I was thinking about in preparing to host this chat, was like, well, obviously these are really extenuating circumstances, so I don't want to get on here and be like, you should all be so productive right now, because why not? When it's like, there's a lot of reasons why not, but then also wanting to balance it with like, well, tips for things that will make it maybe a little easier to be productive every now and then. And so hopefully we'll strike that balance tonight.
I remember scrolling, like when I was actually like in mid coronavirus issues and like feverish and just like scrolling through my phone, and also hearing screaming 2-year-old like in the near vicinity, and just being like raging at the articles that were like, learn to bake sourdough bread, learn a new language, you should try learning the banjo. And I was like, I hate all of you. My head hurts and I want to murder you. Not everyone can learn how to bake sourdough or learn Spanish, Karen. Like a lot of us have jobs and children. And some of us, you know, I have a friend that has 2 kids home because there's no more school anymore, but they're not old enough to be independent and also trying to work a full-time job, you know, like not everyone has dads of free time.
I saw something on Facebook the other day, someone I know shared that was like, it's something that their like life coach shared with them or something, which first off, I'm like, really, life coaches, but but it was like if you don't finally like accomplish that thing you've been wanting to accomplish forever during this quarantine, it's not because you lack the time, it's because you lack the determination. And it's like,
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I've seen that post mocked more than I've seen that post shared.
Oh, see, I've only seen it once, and it was like serious, and I was like,
Oh no.
and everyone was like, this is really tone deaf, and she was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And I
Oh
was like,
dear.
Wow.
Yeah, there's that. I think it was like, oh, this capitalist society where you need to be working all the time, and there's like so much stress and pressure to come out of this quarantine with having learned something or still working 100% of the time. And it's like, no, like you're allowed to grieve, you're allowed to just be quiet, you're allowed to worry and like sit with yourself and not have to be 1,000% more productive because you suddenly are not at a regular scheduled job. And it's like that really, I was like, yes, thank you. I like having like that permission to just be like, if you need time, like you can, like don't panic that you're not doing something every single day.
Yeah, I think it's really ridiculous to try to use like a literal quarantine to be like, this is a great time to self-improvement. Like,
Yeah.
it's like if you're able to, then cool. But like,
yeah, and I'm just like, I just had another one of those like existential crises like 3 days ago when I realized that I'm going to be working from home for like at least another couple months. So like, I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Well, it's kind of silly to expect people to be able to cope mentally with this as well, because if you have any foresight whatsoever, you know it's not going to be over when it's over, right? Like there's probably going to be a recession that hits us after this. Who knows how many businesses are going to be out? Like, I don't know what this is doing to the publishing industry. That's a huge stressor for me. Like, I am freaking out nearly every day because I don't know if I'm going to sell another book this year or next year, or if when everything opens again, Barnes and Noble is going to crash and burn. I don't know what's happening, right? So it's understandable to not be okay, regardless of what business you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it'll probably have to like ease into a bunch of stuff, and then even then it's going to be rocky once that hits. But there are now, because of this, that it's actually sort of helpful to a lot of things or a lot of places, because it's showing that like, hey, you can actually do a lot of stuff remotely, or you can do it online, or what have you. And like, I know publishing is very largely done through emailing. So you're like, cool, that can still be done. You can still communicate with people, but yeah, it might be a little bit difficult for the physical stores to do anything for a little while.
Unfortunately, there's still a surprising amount of business that is done through the physical bookstores. Like, not surprisingly, but like a good percentage of sales are through bookstores. And
a lot of the reason a lot of books are getting delayed now is just because of production and distribution. Yeah. Like those lines are being used for other things.
Yeah, I ordered some stuff. I ordered some books like a couple weeks ago, and they're like, your ship date is like April the 7th. And I'm like, it's March like 20th. Why is it why is it so far away? I don't know.
Was that on Amazon?
No, it was from Chapters Indigo.
Okay,
but I did order something on Amazon, and it came like 2 days later, and then I ordered something else on Amazon, and it's like, your package is going to be arriving on April 27th. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it has to do with like warehouse availability.
Yeah. Amazon is delaying a lot of the stuff that isn't like essential.
Yeah.
So I've been ordering all my books through like my local bookstore, because I mean, obviously support indie bookstores, but also it's just going to get there quicker because it's not shipping toilet paper as well.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of my indie stores have closed, though. That's my problem. Or
a
they're
lot
like,
of them are still doing it online, though. If you look them up, like Monroe's, I was like, oh, it's so sad it's closed. But then I noticed that I can order online. And they ship it to you for, I think it's like $5 within BC, actually.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah, you could do that.
Maybe I'll order some stuff from your bookstore then.
There you go.
Is anyone reading anything good these days?
I am.
Yes.
I had like 3 books in a row that I just like did not get into, and it was very sad.
Oh no!
Like 2 of them I finished, and 1 of them I gave up on. But I was just like, it was like book after book that I was like, this isn't doing it for me.
Yeah, I had a lot of mediocre reads the first few months of this year.
Okay, well, I am reading Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater.
Yeah.
I cannot put it down. I only put it down because I am on this chat right now. Oh my God, it's so good. I haven't had a book that I wanted to like not sleep and read through the night in a really long time, and this is one of those books. I knew it would be, but it's so good.
I want to get into that headspace. I feel like Animal Crossing is probably my biggest problem. But I'm in the middle of two really good books. Like I've been listening to Gideon the Ninth for a while, and I'm reading Addie LaRue. So it's fantastic, but it's just like my brain is not fully engaging with things. So
all of us are just like,
I'm savoring it.
I know I'm like in progress on like 4 different books right now, so
I
need to
have
focus
this
on
urge to
something.
build a fort. I just want like to build myself a little reading fort
Do it.
for like a day and just lock myself out, put the Switch on the other side, and just like do that and read books.
Blanket for
That's a great idea.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I'm currently in the middle of Bone Crier's Moon.
Ooh, how's it?
I love that cover.
It is real good, guys. Like at first, the first couple chapters, I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go," and then it just kept getting better, and it's like, yeah, I'm very impressed. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did because I was expecting it to be like sappy romantic, but it's not. It's like the main character is super kick-ass, and it has to do with like bone magic and like killing people for gods, and it's real good.
There's a couple of really interesting looking books that are included. Like Every Time Witches Vash-Maroon is on a list. Those books are also on a list with it, and Bone Crier's Moon is one of them. So I have like a long list that I need to order.
I did just this past week. I finished Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Basher-Deuce, and it was good. Like I wanted better world building, but other than that, like I really enjoyed it. I thought
that's
it was good.
another one on my list.
yeah.
It was good. That comes out in May, I think, or July. Sorry, July.
Yes, I'm excited.
I need to get started on Gideon the Ninth, which is our book club
Started last
for 2 weeks from now, I believe. 2 weeks.
You're gonna read it in like one day.
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
have the
love it. It's so
audiobook,
good.
so I am very excited because I can tear through an audiobook.
We were messaging about next week's chat like last night, I think, and I was like, "Wait, Gideon the Ninth is like at the end of this month. I should read that."
It's
so I started it last
soon.
night. Yeah. I started it, and I read like the first like 2 chapters, and I really like it. So
yes,
I just because of this quarantine and because of being home like 24/7, I have like renewed my subscription to Audible because I now just have it on in the background all the time. And I've been listening to a lot more audiobooks lately. So that's a good idea. Maybe did you say that you got the audiobook, Megan?
I just got it. I haven't listened to it.
Oh, you have? Okay. I was going to ask if the narrator was any good.
It is. It's good.
I listened to the sample.
Okay, cool. That's always make or break. So
see, I'm listening to less audiobooks now that I don't have a commute.
I need to start listening to audiobooks while I play Animal Crossing. I feel like
there you go.
That's how I read The Merciful Crow. I read the entire The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen while playing Animal Crossing.
Nice.
Multitasking. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a way to be productive in your reading, you know.
Yes, multitasking.
Well, speaking of multitasking, I know we were talking before we went on that a lot of people are baking lately. I have been listening to audiobooks while I'm baking, and the most recent thing I've baked is a chocolate cake. What about you guys? Somebody else baked a chocolate cake. Who was it?
Oh, Megan did, I think.
I've also baked a chocolate cake, and someone else did too.
I want to make a chocolate cake. Yeah.
Last week we did cream cheese brownies.
Oh
yeah. I've also I made croissants for the first time a couple weeks ago. I did croissants a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun because it's like a 2-day process.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Because it has to spend a lot of time chilling in the fridge because like the butter has to stay cold.
Like the steps aren't that complicated. You just have to have the foresight to do it and the fridge space.
I also have tried to do a sourdough starter because I wanted to get on this whole sourdough game,
like
but I can't get the sourdough starter to grow. They just keep dying on me, so I don't know what I'm doing.
It's not meant to be.
Yeah.
I have not been able to find yeast anywhere.
That's why I was like, oh, I'll
we
do
already
this.
had yeast.
Yeah, I have a little bit left, but I'm almost out. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, I'll do a sourdough starter since I'm almost out of yeast. But I just can't get it. And I feel like I'm wasting flour on it at this point. It's not growing.
I know the baking section at my local grocery store like just got restocked, but it was barren for like
Mine are
2
all
weeks straight.
all wiped out. It's ridiculous.
Everything else is getting replenished in ours. Like they get new flour, they get new sugar, but like the yeast just like
Yes,
never
It was not prepared for this.
Yeah.
Why does
Fleshman's was not prepared.
Why does everyone want to bake bread in the apocalypse? Why do I want to bake bread in the apocalypse? I don't
Maybe
know.
it's like a simpler skill to learn. I don't know. And it results
I know
in
at the
food.
beginning, bread was one of the harder things to find. People had free time. So just like, I'll make it. And then I don't have to go find it.
Mhm.
And then that's kind of died down and people are already invested. So
I thought it was just toilet paper. I didn't know we had a bread shortage initially.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yes. One of the things I want to brag about is these pastries that I made today that don't need yeast, which croissants do, but they're palmiers, and you basically make like a rough puff pastry. And so you don't have to do it the day before. You can do it the day of. And I put pesto in them. And I already told you guys about them, but I need the chat to know about them too because they were so good. I'm still thinking about them.
I made really good cinnamon buns as well. I have just been
Ooh,
making everything.
good.
Everything.
The nerdy nanny mentioned, people have been influenced by the Great British Bake Off, even if they've never watched it. And speaking of, my birthday is next week, so I've already been thinking about like what kind of birthday cake do I want to make since I won't be going out to eat. And I'm going to make a Victoria sandwich for the first time. I'm very excited. So
What is that?
it's basically just like cake and like either raspberry or strawberry jam and either buttercream frosting or whipped cream, depending on who you ask. But and it's like, and they're sandwiched together. It's a little cake.
Sounds
Yeah.
really
Sounds
good.
great.
Queen Victoria loved them apparently, and have them with tea all the time.
That's like you mentioned listening to books when you bake, and I was like, I can't do that because I am rewatching the Great British Baking Show right
While
now.
you bake. Nice.
Yes, I like have it on in the background, and I'll like get down a little bit to the background piano music and harps and stuff.
It's like you're really there.
Yeah. Paul Hollywood will say like buttercream with his accent, and I'll be like, yes, I am also making the buttercream. So yeah, writing. Right. We also like can do that sometimes. So let us know in the discussion section, by the way, while you're here, if you have any productivity tips or any questions, anything that you would love for us to talk about as it pertains to reading, writing, or baking. I guess we're now a baking channel. Or Animal Crossing. We also have a lot of feelings about Animal Crossing. We're here and happy to talk.
I'll say one thing that like I really started doing was to kind of get myself back into a routine, I suppose, is that, I'm off work at 4, and then I usually will go like take a walk or do a chore or kind of like just do something to break my work mindset. And then I'll plan out my evenings for the week so that it feels like I'm being productive or that like I do have time, because it's so easy for me to walk from my desk to my bed and then just put on a show or grab my phone or something and then not do anything. Excuse me. So I find it's really helpful to like plan out, be like, all right, well, on Wednesday, I'm going to finish that TV show. And then on Thursday, I'm going to go for a walk, and then I'm going to write for an hour. Or like, on Friday night, I'm going to give myself permission to stay up all night if I need to finish that book, and like kind of plan things out. And that really helped my mental mood.
yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like more like a good sanity tip rather than like a productivity tip of like, yeah, I have plans. It's reading a book or watching a TV show, but I'm doing things at night. I have a life. I have things I can do.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because that was such a big thing of like the first week of working from home, I would work at my desk, which is in a whole other room than my bedroom. But I work at my desk and I would be there, take my breaks, do whatever. And then I would come from that room into this room and then lay in my bed and then be like, cool, and then just like chill for the whole evening and not do anything. Because I was like, I'm off work now. I obviously had a long day, and now I'm home. And then when I'm home, that means that I get to chill and do nothing if I want to. But then after a week of that, I'm like, I can't upkeep this for long periods of time. So like that's probably not healthy for me mentally or physically. So then I was like, all right, after work every day, I'm gonna go take a walk, and then I'm going to do a thing, and I'm gonna, tonight's a chore night, or tonight's a writing night, or tonight's a whatever night. And that's like, that helped a lot to like restructure, like re-give my life some structure.
Yeah,
I feel like that
for
would
sure.
really help me for like weekends. Because I find like weekdays aren't too different, because like even when I was going to my job, I definitely wasn't doing anything after work, after like driving home like 40 minutes, you know, like I was just coming home and like watching TV or something. But like I'm used to weekends having like errands I need to run and like things I need to do. And so I need some more structure for my weekends, I think.
Yeah.
I found it a lot of like, I'm constantly home, which means that it's a weekend, which means that I
Can be
either
lazy.
have to do everything today because it's weekend, it's the only day that I have time to do anything, or I can be super lazy and not do anything ever. So it's like,
yeah, I started trying to take walks as well, just to kind of get out of the house. You know, like I have like a couple of really close writer friends here in Victoria, and I usually see them at least once a week. And so not being able to, and family, we have family like 5 minutes away, so we would see them at least once a week as well. So not being able to see any of the people I usually see feels like a little stir crazy. So I've just been trying to get out and get like fresh air, and I don't know.
Yeah, some friends and I, like usually it was like every Friday, my friends and I meet up after work and we just like have a fun night and we like watch a movie like every Friday. That was it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly like not being able to do that anymore is I didn't realize like how much I really needed that. So we've just been doing like twice weekly Zoom calls, and like last weekend I set up my computer in my kitchen, and then we all called in, I think it was like on FaceTime or something, and then we just baked all together in our respective homes. So like that was kind of fun because it was like an activity, or you know, we'll all watch a movie at the same time and then like comment in a group chat, and that helped a lot.
Yeah. You made me think of, when you were talking about giving yourself structure, one of the things that I really like, I've been using the Passion Planner this year. That's the planner I've been trying out this year. And one of the things that they have, let me see if I can get it to focus on this, is that it has like a personal to-do list and a work to-do list. And it's separated by, this section is for like top priority, and these are just regular priorities. And so at the beginning of each week, I like to, as part of my like work time, just sit down and figure out, okay, well, what things do I need to do this week? And then for me personally, trying to plan like the whole week doesn't usually work. I get very overwhelmed because I will miss one thing and it's like, well, the whole week's done now. It's not going to fit anymore. And so I'll look at that list at the start of every day and be like, okay, well, I'm going to try and tackle this one today. And if I do that, then I get to do this one thing at the end of the day.
This is a little off topic, but do you recommend the Passion Planner? Because I need a new one.
I really like it so far. I probably like it equally as much as the Clever Fox Planner.
Okay.
I believe it's called the Clever Fox one. Yeah, I wish it had, the Clever Fox Planner has a habit tracker in it, so you can like check mark different things. And I really liked that last year. But I started my new full-time job this year, and I really wanted something that was more of an hourly planner, so I could also keep track of the hours that I'm working, so I can account for them to my employer. So definitely, if you want more broad strokes, I would go Clever Fox. But if you need or would like a more specific one, I really do like the Passion Planner.
I had that like really cute little one, something's Heather's Scribbles or Shannon's Scribbles, that was like the little cat cartoons. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was so cute. But I took it with me on tour with like all of my like schedules and everything written out in it. But I kept shoving it into my bag in the airports and stuff. And so it just fell apart.
It was like, we can't do this anymore.
We can't. It even came with stickers. But yeah,
yes.
so we'll try the Passion Planner.
Yes. We had Tamara was sharing some good mystery book recommendations in the discussion section. I think it was Misty Kate mentioned having watched Knives Out recently and wanting mystery Rex, and I feel the same. I was about 10,000 years late to the Knives Out train, but I'm there now.
There's a second movie coming out. I wonder when it is coming out, though, or because it
probably not soon.
Yeah.
Two Knives Out 2, Two Knives, Too Furious.
Now releasing onto Netflix near you.
Yes. Knives Out 2, Knives More Out.
Knives in your house.
I wanted to mention something about the productivity thing that Megan was talking about the tackling small things. Or is, if you have like a giant list of stuff that you have to do and then you don't do it or you get sidetracked or whatever and then are like, oh, well, the whole week's ruined, I can't do anything. I definitely get that. But even I'd say for writing too, it does help if it's like, okay, here's a bunch of things I have to get done at some point. I'm going to do 3 of them. And then just like stick with that. Or like, that's what I do sometimes when I'm feeling like, oh, it's 3 p.m. and I've just lazed around all day. Okay, well, what are like 3 small tasks I can accomplish today? And so that could be actually something pretty fun if you're writing. If you're just like, I'm so intimidated, I don't have time, I don't know what to do. And it's, be like, well, I'm going to do 3 things and I'm going to name my character and I'm going to decide where the first scene is and I'm going to write 100 words and then be like, you accomplished so much, productivity. And then just do that like over and over again. And then you're good.
Yeah, I find with like making lists and to-do lists, going bigger works better for me rather than like narrowing it down so it doesn't get overwhelming. Like having like a whole month list is what I was doing. Like I had a bullet journal for 2020, basically threw it out the window, made a new one that just said quarantine. And these are the things I want to get done probably before June. Like it's just a very broad look at the things I want to get done with some smaller tasks broken down, but there's not an imminent deadline on. So I'm trying to do a little bit all the time, but it's way less overwhelming because I could throw out a whole week and it won't botch the plan. So
I like that idea.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, actually, just generally, is kind of reevaluating what your goals for the year were because circumstances have changed and maybe your goals are still fine and that's amazing for you, but maybe the goals you set aren't realistic anymore. And so you need to adjust. And now is a great time to do that. Like it's totally fine to adjust, especially when something like this happens where it's not in your control at all.
And it's still really hard to plan for the future. So like making new goals right now should also be a low pressure thing because we don't know when life goes back to normal. We don't know when certain things are going to be possible. So just keep it broad and don't be too hard on yourself.
Definitely. Let me check the comments here. Yeah, Misty Kate said, yes, use small Post-it notes. My to-do lists are always so long and daunting. Tiny Post-its have helped keep 3 or 4 things on them. Who knew? Oh, definitely. So one of the things that we do in our writing group is we share weekly goals with each other. And I thought, so we did have a small announcement, which is that next week we were going to be doing a workshop, but we've had some stuff come up. And so we're going to be postponing that workshop until after our book club. And so next week we're going to do another Camp Nano write-in. It's going to be great. And I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to kind of tie this week to next week. And maybe we could all kind of come up with a writing related goal. And then next week we could check in on how that goal went. Have like accountability buddies here. So if you like put your goal in the discussion section, I'm also going to write it down and I'm going to be like checking in with y'all. And I already have like everyone's names written down because I'm going to make everyone come up with a goal by the end of the chat. Like,
oh my God.
From now, so get ready.
I didn't sign up for this pressure.
Wow, that was an ambush.
I got you guys on live, and now you have to make writing goals.
Yeah.
I got you all. Wow.
The power is going to her head.
Yes.
How dare you try and make me productive? I feel so attacked right now.
Yes. You're welcome. So
I'm trying to figure out how to turn my fort building into a goal. How do I make it a writing goal?
I'll also accept reading goals in lieu of writing goals.
Yours could be read one full book in your blanket fort.
In the fort.
Hey, that's pretty good.
That's like 2
If I
goals.
get a fort, like I'd love to like plot a book in a fort.
Ooh,
On my laptop
plotting
or whatever.
fort.
And just,
That's
yeah.
a great goal. Yes, agreed.
Yes.
I love that idea.
I'm not going to plot a book in a fort by next week, but
What? We've got like
Just build the
6
fort.
days. It's fine. Oh yeah. Let's see. We had a shout out from Anya for another game night, and yes, we are doing game nights every quarter. So it won't be this month. This month we're doing book club, but it's either next month or the one
June,
after.
I think.
I think it's June for game.
June is a game night. They take a bit more planning, so they have to have a little bit more space in between them. But they're so fun, and we're definitely going to keep doing them.
Yeah, the last one was pure chaos and so
Yeah.
fun.
Also, if you have any game recs in particular that you would love to watch us chaotically play, let us know in the discussion section. We would love to hear any recommendations.
And with one of the small bonuses of all of this is you're seeing more ways to like play games online with friends. And so I think we're going to have even more options by June for like how we can do this and what kind of games we can play and all of that.
For sure. Yeah. Let me check through. If I've missed your question, please, or your discussion topic, please feel free to re-ask it or anything, you know, the gist of it. I didn't ignore it, most likely. Let's see.
I'm thinking so hard about that goal now.
I know. We were just kind of talking about it.
I feel like I need paper to figure out what my goal is.
Ooh, that's a good question. What's your favorite? So someone, Missy Kate, I think, mentioned small Post-it notes. Do you have a favorite office supply that helps you be, or at least feel like you're being more productive?
Post-it notes. Yeah, agreed. But at my office, we have like a rainbow array of size and shapes and little arrows and like big squares. And then like, and I don't have that. I only have one that I took from my office before I came home. So I missed the Post-it note rainbow.
I like my wide range of color pens.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Always makes me feel better.
I have just literally, I think, just been writing and rewriting out my plot on like sticky notes and then flashcards, just because it feels productive.
You're like, if I write out the plot again,
Yeah, exactly.
it'll make more sense to me this time.
Apparently, that's the way my brain thinks. I don't know.
Yes.
This time it'll be the perfect plot.
That was the worst part about last week's write-in for me, was that I've been working so much on this plot that I feel pretty good about it now. Like, I feel like it's an okay plot. And we sat down to write, and it was like, oh no, now I have to write it. And the first chapter sounded awful compared to the summary of the chapter I had written on a note card.
The worst part is like I stopped on Friday doing all of this, and I'm like halfway through writing out stuff on the flashcards. I know I'm going to go back Monday and be like, where was I? What is happening? I'm so confused. So look forward to that.
Definitely, yeah. Anya said you should all check out Fate. It's really good for story and character building. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to check it out. Okay, so how's everyone feeling about goal setting? Should I go first? I can go first, probably.
Go first.
Okay, because it's about that time. So like I mentioned about 3.5 minutes ago, we're going to be setting goals. So hopefully in the last 3.5 minutes, you have also been thinking about maybe a goal that you would like to set, and then we can check back in with each other next week at the start of our write-in. I think for me personally, I would like to write 1,000 words and send out my next wave of query letters because I've been really putting that off because I am anxious and procrastinating. So those are my 2 goals for next week.
Yours is gonna sound so much more adult than mine. I would like you to just write fort in capital letters for me, please, and thank you.
I fully expect.
I know how our writing group goals work. They don't have to be proper.
What's ready next?
I think. Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. I would like to write 500 words for fun because I finally handed in my 7,000 or 8,000 page essay.
Yes, way to go.
Wait, 7,000 or 8,000 word essay. My bad. It was like 12 pages, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm so happy. I'm finally done this semester. But now I get to write for fun, so I will like to write 500 words for fun.
Love it. Emma.
So I want to write out like a detailed outline of the last few like scenes of my book because I'm really close to finishing it, but I feel like what stops me up every time I like go to write is I'm like, oh crap, what was the next scene going to be? What was I going to write? So I'm gonna like write it all out and have it in one place so I can just write it because I feel like once I figure out what's going to happen, I can write it fast. Yeah, exactly. I just want to be prepared for the write-in. So I can get the words down. So
perfect, Erin.
Mine is to get to a point where I can start my revisions process.
Write that plot out on even bigger note cards.
No more. No more procrastinating.
Procrastinating. Love it.
Sorry, I'm writing all of these down. If you are leaving it in the discussion section, I'm also writing that down. So please come next week. We're here every Sunday at 7:30, so just keep that in mind. We've got Ellie's goal is to write anything at all. Anya's is to finish exposition and work on POA chapters. The Nerdy Nanny wants to finally finish the first draft of their 2nd grade chapter book. Over halfway there, maybe 1,500 words left and lots of edits. Tamara's major goal is to get to an end with the 0 draft. Said I'll feel like I'm not spinning my wheels if I can just get through it. And Misty Kate said goal, make it to at least 4,000 for my Camp Nano 10K goal. 5,000 would be preferable, but maybe too scary.
Oh yeah, right. It's also Camp Nano this month. I'm sorry. Someone said like, oh, about haha April Fool's joke from 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what day is it? And I was like, it's the 12th already.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know what day, what month, what year. I'm just time is irrelevant now, so I don't know what day it is. I didn't even know that it was a long weekend until someone told me on Thursday. So like
they were like, it's Easter weekend. I'm like, oh yes.
Right. That is a thing.
Yeah. We had multiple people kind of throughout the chat mentioning watching live streams and doing write-ins and stuff is helpful. Definitely let us know in the discussion section if you are a YouTuber and you're doing write-ins. I know we've got Tamara here, and I want to say it's every Thursday that you do write-ins on your channel, right, Tamara? And so definitely check out Tamara's channel. We'll be here next Sunday as well. But if you're also a YouTuber or if you do like Twitter word sprints, just definitely share links to that in the discussion section or in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. It can only get better the more we work together, right? That kind of way to go. Let's see. Does anyone have any wrapping things up thoughts?
No, it's okay to not be super productive in the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We did have confirmation from Tamara. Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
That's when Tamara does write-ins. and those are super fun. So go check them out. I think we'll probably wrap things up a little bit early today. I wanted to close out, so we started with, how's writing going? And so I wanted to close with your best book recommendation for during what feels like the apocalypse. What's the thing that you would recommend someone read? And you guys can take a second to think about it.
Okay, not something specific, but like your favorite book that you love to reread, but you always feel bad because there's a bunch of new books that you should be reading. But like this is a good time, like if you have a little extra time or your brain just doesn't want to process new stuff, read your favorite book and do not feel bad about it.
Yes.
That's good advice. I would say Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, because it's like this thick. So if you have time, get through that 1,000-page monstrosity. It is so good. It is feminism and queens and dragons and badassery and magic, and it's great. But it's huge. And I finally finished that during the apocalypse because I finally had time to read and I didn't have to lug it around in a backpack.
Yeah, one of my favorites to revisit and that has become a comfort read now is definitely The Raven Boys. I mean, we're always going to say that on our chats because we're like a giant advertisement for the Raven Cycle.
Maggie Sweetwater, please be friends with us.
And I'm also reading Call Down the Hawk right now, which is just as good as the rest of the world. And then what I was going to say, one of my comfort rereads is also the Harry Potter series. I always return back to the first 3 books, I think, because those are the most comforting to me before Voldemort shows up and wrecks stuff.
Yeah. To your point too, the Raven Cycle series, the audiobooks are on Spotify if you have Spotify Premium, and I really enjoy the audiobooks of them.
I've listened to them, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yes, same.
So good. Yes, thank you. I will forever be grateful to this channel for finally getting me to listen to them too.
Yeah. We had a follow-up question from Anya, I believe, about the book Rachel referenced, which was The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon.
Yes.
So that was the title of that one.
Priory. Priory. Yeah. Not priority.
No, not priority. No.
What priority does an orange tree have?
I don't know.
Make it
sounds like a book you need to write.
Yeah. I'm sure if you Googled that, it would still come up.
Yeah. It's not a common search, I wouldn't think.
Yeah. Similar to Kelly, I'm going to do a bit of a category. I recommend reading a graphic novel. So those are kind of faster reads. And just kind of changing up the format if you don't read those as much. If you need a specific recommendation, I really like the Check Please graphic novels. It's 2 volumes, and volume 2 just came out this past week, I think. So it's adorable. It's about a kid who plays hockey and loves to bake, and it's got a really cute romance in it. So.
Yes.
If you feel like you want some more fantasy and sci-fi, but also want to be emotionally destroyed, and you are over the age of 18, I would highly recommend Saga. It's just, oh my god, it's so good. But
there's also a really cute graphic novel called Fake Blood by Whitney Garner, which is so good and so cute, and is perfectly light and funny. So it's great for the apocalypse.
Yes. I've been kind of wanting the opposite. I've been on a dark horror science fiction kick. So I've been working my way through Contagion by Erin Bowman again.
And I need to read that.
The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling, which is amazing.
Ooh,
it's
okay.
So it's claustrophobia sci-fi horror.
Okay, no, never mind. I'm good.
Because she's tunneling on this science fiction trip, and it's just her and then the voiceover, the comms, who has hired her dubiously. And the deeper she gets, the more she realizes there's creepy stuff down there.
Oh,
No.
I love how right now I'm like, oh my gosh, no way, I cannot do some kind of claustrophobia horror
Yeah.
situation. But give me that like apocalyptic plague novel. I'm totally fine with that. Sounds wonderful. Exactly what I want to read.
I'm like, do I want to rewatch Contagion right now?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. What's the matter with people?
And so great recommendations. We've got and Griswold asked what's the name of that book. It's The Luminous Dead by, I believe, Caitlin Starling. Let me double check that. Yeah, Caitlin Starling. Which great name for science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've got some great book recs in the discussion section as well. If you heard all of ours and you were like, no.
Or maybe you should read Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, because that's going to be our book club this month. Yay!
And we're reading it in 2 weeks.
Promo. And it's lesbian necromancers in space. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
Dark sci-fi, baby.
Gonna get the audiobook right away.
Yeah.
Yes. So once again, if you haven't dropped your goal in the discussion section, drop your writing or reading or just life is fine too, goal in the discussion section, and we will check back in next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, where we will be right here having a virtual write-in. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss it, because we like you and would love it if you were subscribed. And yeah, we will see you all with our regular videos Tuesday and Thursday, and then once again next Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Bye.
Bye.